That's a quick overview of how my Bronco is currently set up today. I'm going to go over the history of my Bronco and why this Bronco has so much sentimental value to me. I bought this Bronco in fall of 2013. It's a 1989 Bronco XLT. I paid $1,275 for it. When I bought it, it had a spacer leveling kit, a Magnaflow exhaust, and some old BFG all-terrains. I quickly changed out the tires to Falcon Wild Peak 33s, as well as I picked up some wheels on Craigslist and also did a tune-up. The original purpose for me buying the Bronco was to do some light off-roading with my kids and also have a truck to run to the hardware store and grab some lumber or whatever. I didn't really know what it would turn into. In January of 2014, I wanted to make some changes. I wanted to lift the vehicle 4 inches and decided that cut and turn beams are the best way to do that. I found some used Rancho arms on Craigslist and decided just to go for it. My friend Andy did some mild fabrication work to allow a 10-inch shock up front and a 12-inch shock in the rear. I picked up some Fox shocks from Craigslist. At this point, I had a very decent off-roader. So in February of 2014, we had some unfortunate events happen in our lives. My wife had a miscarriage. The miscarriage was very difficult. It actually led into a molar pregnancy. Molar pregnancy is a very rare condition that happens that ultimately led to her having to get treated with chemotherapy, and what we didn't want was for the young kids that we had to see her kind of in a state where she wasn't feeling well. So she would get her infusions on Friday and not feel well all day Saturday. So for the several weeks in the weekends of March, I actually took my 2 boys to the trail and we enjoyed the Bronco while Mom was resting at home. For maybe 5 straight weekends, we went out on the trail with either ourselves or with some friends, and we just made some awesome memories, and that's really when we fell in love with this truck.
So, a guy punching a cactus, like
why would a guy punch a cactus?
Because,
You want down?
I'm not gonna get one.
Summers in Arizona are very hot and the weather isn't really conducive to do any kind of off-roading. So that's when I had a roll cage built. It was built again by my friend Andy and was done over the course of several weeks. The roll cage is made of 1 3/4 120 wall mild steel. The purpose for building this was really because I take my kids out so often. I wanted my Bronco to be safer for them. Because we use the Bronco so often this year, I found out the deficiencies that my current setup had and wanted to remedy that by really building a more robust suspension. So in 2014 came coilover conversion as well as bypass shocks in the rear. So back to Andy's shop where he did all the work in creating a custom suspension. As you can see from the pictures, he does beautiful work and I'm really pleased with how this worked out. Actually, most of the suspension components that you see here are still on this truck and what I use today. In September of 2014, we took a little road trip out to visit my cousins in California and stopped by the Solo Motorsports shop. They were very gracious and allowed us to look at their cool Broncos. So just to recap 2014, this is probably the year I made the most changes to the Bronco, added a roll cage, added some new suspension components. At this point, I was into the Bronco about $6,500. 2015 and 2016 were really busy years. Really, from a Bronco standpoint, this vehicle was basically neglected in favor of some of the other things that I was doing in my life at the time. I started a new job. We started an adoption process, as well as I picked up some other hobbies such as woodworking. Despite the busyness, I did keep my eyes on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace for some really good deals, and I did find some. So in 2015-2016, here's a recap of the things that happened. I bought some suspension seats that came with Crow harnesses. I also upgraded to 35s. I found a guy parting out a truck and it had some fiberglass fenders as well as Deaver J40s that I picked up off of him. I had a rear bumper built by my buddy Andy, as well as swapped wheels and tires a couple of times, went from 33s to 35s and 35s to 37s. So here's how it looks today, November of 2017. I'm excited to say that I am going to be putting some more effort into the Bronco and devoting some extra time to the Bronco. I do have a 1-ton axle swap planned for the rear, as well as an 8-lug conversion in the front, tidying a few things up, building a front bumper, and doing some other things. So if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my channel, and hopefully you will be on the journey with us in 2018. Until next time, we'll see you on the next project.